Hey there. Last time we discussed parts 3 and 4. We got to see the iconic hockey mask make its debut. And we got to see Jason kind of make a final stand and meet a character by the name of Tommy Jarvis. So we're going to go into the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, really, kind of the end cap of that, and see if Jason actually does die or if Jason lives. Spoiler alert: he kind of lives, kind of. Hey there, guys. Welcome back, Dad, and welcome back, Malcolm. We're on our journey to go through all the Friday the 13th films, um, culminating with not just the remake. So put you on your toes, guys. You have to at least watch one episode. It can be the pilot. I don't care. But we're going to chat about the series as well. Not today, though, because there was quite an influential series for Friday the 13th that lasted for 3 seasons. And if we, bypassing it would be kind of a bit of a,
So we're going to talk about one random episode, so we can watch any episode and talk
I
about it.
watched it. Here, you want to know the truth? I just recently rewatched it. But
I bet you
what I
did.
did, but the best way to
You're
do
easy
it,
on that because
I
look
can't.
at that, the watching and getting through it.
Well, I did this and did I recently did Twin Peaks as well.
Yeah.
So and eventually next year we'll probably do Nightmare on Elm Street. So heads up, you're watching Freddy's Nightmares. It's not one episode. He's watching Freddy's
I
Nightmares, guys.
wish they'd release a proper master of that because that was a good
Yeah.
show.
You got to find on
I've
Tubi's
never
on
seen
there,
it.
unfortunately. You never saw Freddy's Nightmares? It used
Friday
to come on.
13th series.
Oh, Friday the 13th
Remind me
series.
about it.
Actually, it's actually pretty cool. Nick Mancuso, Jr., the guy that did the movies initially from Paramount, went on.
Freddy's Nightmares I saw a bit, but I never saw Friday 13th.
Friday the 13th's not even about Jason. It's just about it's a bit like Warehouse 13 in a way.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, we got some great directors, like Cronenberg is there. Adam McGowan directs in that. But we'll get to that anyway. So today we're talking parts 5 and 6. When we last saw our hero Jason, he was getting decimated by a very young Tommy Jarvis, who had a very, very creepy look in his eye at the very last scene of the film. Now, here's the thing. This part 4 was supposed to be the end of the story. Sort of. It's supposed to be the end of Jason's story. They had planned to go in a different direction with it. And with part 5, they did that. The director that they chose for part 5 was the director that was probably best known for Savage Streets with Linda Blair and, of course, Linnea Quigley, which is a fantastic little film. But Danny Simon is also very much known for working in, and this is totally going to surprise you guys after watching part 5, in the adult industry. He was given a choice, because this was around the time that the whole censorship's coming down on them, right? And Friday was getting hit harder than any other movie out there. They really targeted Friday 13th when it came to censorship. So there was some really pretty gruesome kills that were going to be in this film. And it was pretty much told him, he said, okay, you can keep the kills or you can keep more of the nudity, but you can't have both, or it's going to get an X
Keep the
rating.
nudity. Always the nudity.
Steinman decided what you just said, Malcolm. He said, keep the nudity. We
What's
get
it
a
more, isn't it?
very interesting cast with this one right here, because we get Tommy Jarvis, the role being taken over by John Shepard, basically because Corey Haim was going on to film the Goonies at the time. Now, Corey
Actually,
Haim
the
does
whole
come back.
story is he had to take one night off in someone's back garden to actually do it.
Exactly. Actually, to his neighbor's backyard, to just film just like one this backup sequence. And it's kind of comical because they show a grave and it is so tiny. Like the other hell is like this like tiny ass grave. But it is a weird scene. But anyway, we'll get to that. Cast-wise overall, Melanie Kinnaman is the lead in this movie here. Apparently, supposedly, she really took it to heart in that she was going to be the lead of the film. Was asking for like chauffeur like limousines through the set and stuff like that. Deborah Voorhees, who would go on to direct 13th Fanboy, has a very eye-opening sequence in this film. She's gorgeous, and she's one of the definitely one of the most curvy girls we're going to see in a Friday the 13th franchise. She was very, very nice. I actually did a review of 13th Fanboy, and she responded to my review. She watched it, so I was very much appreciative of that. She did not need to. We get
I sent her nude pics of myself to see if she rated them, and I never got a response. Instead, it said you can't contact this person anymore. So I'm a little bit
why. We get Juliet Cummings in this one, who is fantastic, and you'll see her in different films. So if you're a fan of Slumber Party Massacre 2, Juliet Cummings is in that.
What's her last name?
Of course, probably one of the OG kind of cool guys is Miguel is coming back. Miguel Nunez Jr. from we're getting to see him here, and of course, you guys know him from Return of the Living Dead. But those damn enchiladas, right? This is a very differently structured film. This is the first one to really not take place at Camp Crystal Lake or really near Camp Crystal Lake. The first 4 movies have either been adjacent to Camp Crystal Lake, like Higgins Haven type thing, like a just kind of place close to Camp Crystal Lake. In this one, we're getting it's not a camp. It's kind of like a halfway house where people that have been in like had issues or kids that had like a trauma are coming out to kind of come back into to society. There's a lot of different stuff to talk about with this one here, including Reggie the Reckless, played by Shafar Ross. And with that being said, I think I'm going to let Dad go first on this one here and let me know what his thoughts are on part 5, because I know you watched this one last week or last night.
Well, first of all, forgetting everything you just said,
which you can't do.
I always watch these, like I said, as a guy paying his money and watching the film. Now, I'm watching this film. I know nothing about Steinman. I haven't seen Crystal Lake Memories or anything. I'm just going in. I'm watching this movie. It's a Friday the 13th movie, excuse me, which I'm assuming is a sequel to the last one, sort of. But when I went in, what I thought from watching the last one, I figured Jason is dead. He's not coming back. I figured Tommy was going to take over, the Jason character. That's what I thought going into this one. It wasn't that. The cast, I don't know what they did before. I thought the guy who acted as Tommy Jarvis was pitiful. He had the same expression on his face throughout the whole movie. He beat up a few guys who said things to him. Then he was gone again, sulking somewhere in the corner. The last minute or two, he had a little fight with the so-called Jason and stabbed him with his pocket knife. And then, the girl has more fights with Jason than Tommy did. The last minute, he wakes up out of his apparently knocked out state and hits Jason a couple times so he'll fall down and be killed. I didn't like his character at all. When I watched it last night, I watched it really well. First time I sat in the theater, I hated it. This time I thought I'd like it a bit more. Not really. The characters in it really, they were just characters. You didn't feel for any of them. Really didn't feel for him. The little black guy, yes, I thought he did well, and you sort of felt for him. But the other wimps and whatever they were at the halfway house, I like some of the scenes. There were a lot of kills, but very bad kills. How many times can you watch the axe go into a head, into a stomach, into a back, knife to the throat, knife stick in the stomach?
A lot.
And all the other ones, And all the other ones are off screen. If you notice that, most of the kills are off screen. You see him with the knife, then you see the body on the ground with the throat slit. You know, the kills are really off screen. Same with that girl with the great body. Now, one of my favorite parts of the movie. You couldn't see what you seen. He's doing something with his shears. Then you didn't see what happened. Then when the guy came back, she had her eyes gouged out. So you figured you knew what he did, but you didn't see the kill. If that was Tom Savini, it'd be a different story altogether, right? So the effects were totally impressive. The nudity was great. I won't lie about that. You know, you can't knock nudity anyway. It's it's just pretty good. Storyline. Oh, he goes to a halfway house, probably from a mental institution, and sees if they can do something with him. They can't. I don't like the ending. I really didn't. I mean, the ending to me where he takes the mask and then he's supposed to be Jason, that should have been, as far as I'm concerned, if I wrote the movie, I would have had him at the beginning, leaving the institution, going back to Crystal Lake, just looking at what happened there, finding the mask and doing the killing. Putting the mask on at the end of it, to me, was the way, it was so, you knew what was going to happen. You knew he was going to put the mask. You seen going through the drawer. You knew what was going to happen, and you knew that you're going to get the little well, I didn't find it a jump scare, but you knew he was going to be behind it. You knew that, right? No, but for the nudity and a couple of scenes, oh wait, don't talk about that old mother and her son. That's the only time I ever got excited when the guy got beheaded. Buddy on the bike. I couldn't take him going around shouting around. You hurt me. Oh God. I had to turn away a couple times till he stopped saying it. But I'm going to give it a 3. Now that's a bit high for me, but I'm going to give it a 3. I did like the nudity and a couple of the scenes. I thought the guy, the ambulance driver, did a decent job. You didn't see him much in the movie at the beginning and the end. It was probably a stuntman doing the killings. I don't know, but he seemed like a decent actor. And the girl seemed to be pretty good. The main girl, I liked her. But I'm going to give it a reluctant 3 because, it's okay. It's an okay movie, but it's nothing to write home about. Now, this is me viewing the movie. I don't know anything about the movie, anything about the behind the scenes or nothing, but this is just from my viewing the movie. Last night, that's what I did. I sat down and I just viewed it as a Friday the 13th movie, which we know in the next sequence, this is all forgotten. This forgotten. They just used a scene from the first of the movie and slap it into the second one. But I'll give it a reluctant 3, Aaron.
All right. Before we go over to
take over.
Before I go over to Malcolm, though, I'm just going to let you guys know there's 2 people that are doing Jason in this one here. So you're right that actually. Dick Wisen, by the way, is the guy that plays Roy. So he's like the stunt double for Roy is Tom Morga, who did work on a lot of these type of films. We're hitting some Halloween territory here, by the way. So anytime you see Jason in a dream or a flashback, when when it's like when Tommy's seeing Jason and is like, because you can tell the difference. Fake Jason has a blue thing, like Nightmare Jason has the old school red one, right? So that's Dick Warlock, who played Michael Myers in part 2. So you got that kind of, it's like the bigger set thing. So we get Dick Warlock coming for this one. So we got a guy now that's played Michael Myers and Jason as well, which is actually kind of cool. So with that being said, Malcolm, go take it away.
My rating is a 5. Deborah Voorhees. I've got nothing else to say.
Are you seriously going to leave it on that?
Of course not. I agree with a lot of what Glenn said, to be honest. When it come to Tommy Jarvis's character, he looked like an absolute nutcase. And when I say that, I mean that in the most aggravating terms. Screaming, staring, why he thought he'd have some sort of connection with anybody when he was just lashing out continuously. The best part of it is the kid, because you just enjoy him. It's just fun. And he's a great side character for the Tommy Jarvis character. But then you feel sorry for the kid because you're like, he grows up in part A, and in part A, he gets his head punched off. So, that's not really fair, is it? but I like to think that's what happens. So, you know, I think this is the worst Tommy Jarvis. You know, the beginning, I was hoping would be that he saw the two guys got killed, and that was going to be like him seeing himself killing them as the new Jason Voorhees, right? So we want to call him Tommy Voorhees because, you know, it would have probably turned out at some point if that happened that he was related to him somehow, because that's what happens in these type of things. So I think all the characters, if I'm honest, for the most part, were very relatable, right? You had the guy who had enchiladas and he had bad diarrhea. That's relatable. You had the guy enjoying playing with Deborah Voorhees' booty. That's relatable, right? You know, the nudity, 100% relatable, right? But the characters, I wish it had been Deborah Voorhees walking throughout the whole movie, naked, just walking around, waving. Jason could have chased her a bit. She could have fallen over, got a bit of mud in the right places, and we would have had a far superior film. Now, the killer, right, is one of the weakest killers I think I've ever seen, because he dresses up as Jason Voorhees, yet he looks too skinny to be the guy in the thing, obviously, as we know, because you explained that. But you're like, this guy hasn't got passion for his kid. That poor kid, right? I've met guys like that. They just want to share their food. They just want to talk to you, and boom, right in the face or whatever. And it's not fair, because that kid was a really kind, caring person, in my mind. He just wanted to make friends with the guy who was angry in the halfway house. Now, a lot of the people there seemed like they had issues, but then there was a lot of people there that didn't seem to have any issues at all. So it didn't really make sense in that aspect. Now, the dad, who's the paramedic, who, spoilers, dresses up as Jason Voorhees, right, and goes around killing, has some of the worst kills in it, like Glenn said, about how most of them are off screen. You know, when you go in watching a horror movie like this, especially after you've watched the first four, you want to see these kills. You know, number 3 had an eye coming out at you, right? This, it was like, oh yeah, dead. You know, I don't watch Friday the 13th to go and go, oh, okay, I might as well have watched an episode of Columbo on Halloween night. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not seeing anything except the guy walking around. You know, so I've got to be honest here. I feel like the way he gets killed and the way you see his mask at the end, ridiculous. You know, Tommy Jarvis, ridiculous. The woman who was the main woman in it, hot. I'd have given her a go. You know, and to be honest with her and Deborah Voorhees, I would have said, take turns, darling, because I want both of you. And that's what I take from this film, to be honest. Other than that, I think it's a film that should never have existed in the franchise, because I think it's ridiculous. But I will say this, the very ending where he's got the mask, and that you're like, yeah, okay, so basically he's going to kill someone. What I like is there's 2 like endings to that movie, because there's a bit where he stabs her through the sheet thing and starts growling and screaming at her. And then you find out he wakes up and then he's got the mask on and he's like, in the most undemented way possible. So, my rating for this movie, right, is 2 Deborah Voorhees boobies out of 5.
I'm going to be that guy again. All right. Here we go. So for the, let's like address the Tommy in the room first. There are 3 actors that played Tommy Jarvis, Corey Feldman, John Shepard, and Thom Matthews. Only 2 of these actors play it like Tommy Jarvis should be played. John
And that's the first one and the last one.
John Shepard is one of those people. We'll get into that, actually, because that's going to be one of my big issues. See, here's the thing. Tommy Jarvis was a pretty isolated kid with a nice family whose mom is murdered and who sees a horrific thing happen and ends up killing a serial killer and kind of going a bit unhinged at the end of the part 4. That's the last we've seen of Tommy Jarvis. if we're expecting one Tommy Jarvis to at this point already be a killer, or expecting him to be totally kind of like normal, that's not what we should be getting. What we should be getting is exactly what we get, an unhinged character that may or may not be a killer. We don't know. The idea behind this film, and they don't do it well, let's put that out there, is that this is going back to part one. Friday the 13th is again now a mystery. And it doesn't matter if you shake your head, Dad. That's exactly what this one is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, who's the killer? It's supposed to make us think, because we see Tommy back in like the like doing all these kind of like PTSD, that Tommy's going to be the killer. Unfortunately, because it's Danny Steinman directing it, he kind of telegraphs things, man. And this sequence where we see
Well, technically, he didn't. Technically, he didn't telegraph it.
Oh my God!
Because
if you when you see Rod, and he looks at the camera, you know it's Rod.
Yeah,
like you know it's
I
Rod.
get that. I get that later, after you've watched it. I get that.
No.
All we got to remember is just let me talk. Just let me talk, Aaron, because you're going to talk about the whole thing anyway.
We have the cop, and cop's face is like, I can't believe like that this murder left these bodies that are here, and Rod's there. He's like, oh, you talking to me? It's like, no, I'm just talking about the killings. Oh no, I thought you were talking to me. It is so, and this is you guys are complaining about the film. I'm giving a complaint about the film.
I was trying to put my word in, because you're just going to talk about the whole film from every aspect. So I was trying to put my word in on it before you went into it, to actually put my opinion in on what you were saying. All right, and you want to cut me off.
Well, you cut me off when I was trying to just finish that sentence.
No, because I was trying to communicate with you when you're thinking, all right? But I'm not going to say anything on it. You keep talking. I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Say it. Go ahead.
No.
Are you seriously not going to say it?
All I was going to say, all right, before you cut me off, was, but the whole thing was because he was on drugs so much. Most of it was done. Most of it was just a cast messing around and doing things. That's the whole point of the film. All right, and you can say it's telegraphed. Yeah, it is. When you look at it, when you've seen it over and over and over again, of course you notice that. But the average person might not. And that's the thing. The average person might not notice that. And that's what I was trying to get at.
Well, if the average person doesn't, then that's great. That's a positive to the film. But what I'm just stating, is that, for me, the first time I saw this movie as a kid, even as a kid, I was like, oh, yeah. If Tommy's not the killer, there's no other choice. It's got to be this guy. He looks eerily suspicious. He literally looks at the camera, and they don't. It's not like for a second. They just hold on it, and he has this look, and obviously, as we go through, we find out that it's not Tommy. Now, they take the most jacked person ever to play friggin' Tommy Jarvis. By the way, John Shepard is it's just that could he be a Jason? Oh my God, yes. When he's there, when he's having the hallucination of Jason, and he's getting ready to put his shirt on, the guy's muscles. He looks like a freaking wrestler. No, he did not come back for part 6, even though he was asked, because he actually became a youth pastor, and he didn't feel positive about doing horror films at the time. He was kind of iffy on doing it in the first place. Now, I actually do like some of the cast here, but I have to agree with you on one thing. This cast is not given a lot to work with. So we're not getting to like them. Say in part 3, we got to like what cast, right? And we got to like what cast because we get to know them a bit. We understand what their relationships are. Now this is a halfway house, and Reggie the Reckless is an interesting character. Tommy, we got to know Tommy in the other film, so we're starting to kind of learn. We get that juxtaposition, what Tommy's kind of becoming. So that's great. I like the characters of Violet and all that, but they're just a lot of them for this kind of window dressing. That they're attractive, they're there, but they're not they're not fully fleshed out characters. I love Violet and the dance sequence. That's actually really cool. Deborah Voorhees was really good for her role in this one here. This one does have one thing that we have to give it credit for. the most brutal kill we're going to see in any Friday 13th film ever. And you don't need a lot of blood to do it. It is the first, and it's not done by Jason. It's not done by Roy. It's done by Victor. It's the first kill of the movie. It shook me. When I was a kid, it shook me. When I watched it again last night. It still fucking shook me. Because we have like this innocent guy, and there's been innocent guys and stuff before and stuff like that, but this little kind of like childlike guy, and we have this kind of like just this vicious, very realistic murder at the beginning of the film. That's going to like, it's the catalyst for everything else. And I guess because it's the catalyst, it works in the way that it does, but it really works. Like we don't need to see, we don't a Tom Savini thing like with all the axe going in type thing. No, him grabbing the axe and the way that he runs towards it, like because that guy that played Victor was good. That just brutality of it and the screaming, the look on the girls' faces was enough. I didn't have to see anything else at that point. Well, I'm going to complain later on about like not seeing kills on the screen. This is the one time where it perfectly makes sense, where it would have been overkill to see the murder on the screen because it's more effective this way. That being said, Danny Simon literally took out scenes of death, by the way, guys, just so he could put in more breasts. That's who Danny Simon was. So when Dad was saying stuff like, "Oh, yeah," and kills are off screen, 100% on purpose, because he wanted to put more boobs in there. So, guys, it was either Deborah Voorhees boobs or seeing the death on screen. You couldn't get both, apparently. And that's down to the MPAA. This one here has some of my favorite sequences in it. There's a character that I really like that you guys hated. And she's a classical stage actress. And she came to the set with this wig, this horrible fucking wig. And they were like, "Oh, you should wear that wig in the film." And she was like, "Are you serious?" And she's like, "Yeah, wear the wig in the film." And of course, she's Ma, right? She's like, and she's so like, her scenes, a lot of them are kind of like, she adds a lot to her sequences. And I think she's, when you want like good comedic relief, Junior drove him up the wall, but she didn't. I thought she was just so on par. There's a sequence which looks like it's going to be like something out of a porno film. It's going to be super sleazy, right? So we see this guy, and he comes there, and he's like, "Yeah," I said, I kind of would do anything to get some food." And she's like, "Yeah, really?" And she sends him to work. Like, you think, okay, this is already a sleazy film. Like, but like, are we going to get like a nude scene with this girl? And like, no, she sends him off to work because that's the character she is. Like, she is a hard ass.
Yeah.
I love the ending of the film. I love the fact that we get like Tommy finally becoming Jason. There's also a sequence in this film that's going to make no sense for the next movie. And I'm not sure if you guys caught it or not, but they actually mention Jason in this one here. And they say it can't be Jason. He was cremated. Yeah. Okay. Like when the mayor and the cop are talking at the police station, like, yeah, no, it can't be Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees was cremated. So we'll get into that in part 6. But overall, I did enjoy what this film did. And I enjoy it more now than I did when I was younger. When I was younger, like, here's the thing. Much like Dad, I went in thinking I was either going to see Tommy Jarvis or Jason was going to magically reappear again. I think everybody did. So when everybody went in to see this movie, much like everybody went in to see Halloween 3, we did not have the internet. There was not something telegraphing or telling us what was going to happen when we went in to watch this movie. I saw this in theater. When I went to see this movie, I expected Jason. I did. You know why I expected Jason? There's a hockey mask out there. There was a hockey mask. So for me, at that point, I'm a kid. Jason, hockey mask. It goes together. It's Friday 13th, Jason, hockey mask. I came out of it kind of disappointed. Now, that being said, I'm older and I've seen it since then, and I know what they were going with. It doesn't always succeed, but it never fails to entertain me. So I'm going to give it a 3, just because I think Miguel Nunes is really good. Unlike you, I do think John Shepard does a good job because he plays a very hard part of this character and a hard stage. I don't, and acting wise, I do not like envy what that guy had to do. But and there are some decent actors in here as well. Of course, the nudity is great. It's on par. Because you better like the nudity in this movie because we're about to get into one that doesn't have any of it. Actually, do you know that Deborah Voorhees was not initially going to be that character in the film? Initially, the actress, coming part 6, we're going to talk about Darcy DeMoss, was going to be chosen for the role. But Danny Steinman didn't think she had the right qualities. You know what I mean? To do it. Luckily, she would get her chance in part 6, and we'll talk about that because we know she plays that the character where it gets more. She gets the I guess what's the raunchiest scene of part 6 without being raunchy. That's the chord scene. But yeah, 3 definitely out of this one right here. I enjoyed it more than you guys did, like 100%. I can tell, which is okay. This is usually the one people don't like. When people go on, there's usually a couple movies that they don't like in the series. This is usually one of them. This has always been one of my favorites. So it's always is one of the tops that I watch. It's probably one of my most watched in the Friday 13th franchise because it does the mystery aspect again, and I do like that. Even though, like it's like Columbo, right? Once you know, right? You can't unknow. But I like that fact, and I like finding little spots in it. There's a sequence in this film, which I got to talk about. It's a weird sequence. It's almost like it's shot in a different time frame, like they've gone back in time. So we get these like 50s, 60s looking 2 guys that I don't know might be a gay couple. I'm not sure. They kind of seem like they could be, and they're wearing like 50s, 60s kind of like wild one, like leather jacket outfits and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't at first when I was
It's
a
about
kid.
the 2 guys in the car.
Yeah, because when I was a
Yeah.
kid, I didn't think of like things like cruising because I was too young to know anything about that stuff. But I thought, okay, are these like, do we go back in time? Like, has Jason got a time machine? Is he gone back to the 50s? Because it's such a weird scene. There's a couple weird scenes like that. There's the other ambulance driver that does the coke, and we get the Showtime scene, the Bob Fosse with the girl. That's not complaining about that scene at all, actually. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to enjoy here. I think overall, what we've gotten so far with this franchise, for me personally, I can't speak for you guys, is films that sometimes are good and sometimes are not as good, but are at the very least are entertaining. And for me, I found this to be very entertaining. Any final thoughts on part 5 before we go to part 6?
Well, my thoughts have not changed. See, I know I'm repeating myself, but I saw it going to a movie. You're telling us all the technical details that you've seen or read about since you've seen the movie. As you said, you were a kid when you saw it. So a lot of your thoughts about the scenes and everything are future thoughts when you saw it later on the road. But I'm looking at it as I never saw it before, and I'm trying to review it in that aspect. Like I went in, I watched the movie, I came out, and I was older than you when I watched it. I didn't see the same things you did, but there's enough of it that entertained me enough to give it 3. I do agree with one thing you said, though. I do agree that the first kill was a bit jolting. I do agree with that. Yeah. I noticed that last night, too. That caught me off guard. So that's one scene. Yeah, I forgot to say it, but that scene did unnerve me a little bit. And when Buddy, the ambulance driver came, and he looked at the camera first. When I saw it first, I didn't know if he was looking at the other ambulance driver that was making fun of him. Remember?
I never thought of that way.
He thought Buddy was too weak-hearted, but he wasn't. The real reason, because it was his son, naturally. So I didn't know if he was looking at the audience or looking at the other ambulance driver pissed off with him. But now I know he was looking at us, giving us the. But other than that, that's my comment on it. I'll still stick with the 3 on it.
Does anybody find it weird that like the only person we don't see get killed is the one that killed his son? Like we don't see Victor's body.
That's weird.
Because you think that would be that would be like the one you'd want to kill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Never thought of that.
But with that, Thom Matthews uh, is there for part 6. We're getting a very, very different, uh, what I am going to call, we're getting the boy band version of Tommy Jarvis in the next film, and done by Tom McLaughlin. This was very important in that it really had to save this franchise, because the fifth one did not do what it was supposed to do, but it still did well enough because it was going on the goodwill of part 4. But here's the thing, guys. There's no goodwill after part 5 for this audience that are going in to watch this movie. So less people are with each subsequent version of the film, this franchise, less people are giving it a chance. So there are people that did not come back for part 6 because of part 5 and would not see it for years later. A lot of this stuff here really kind of blew up on home video in the VHS market. And that's kind of where we're going to go with this one here. So Tom McLaughlin would only do this if he could do something different. He did not want to do what had been done before. It had been done already 5 times. 4 times that were considered successful, and 1 time that was considered to be not successful. So when he went in to do it, he wanted to write it, he wanted to direct it. He had his then wife in the film. It was cast very differently. So in this one here, we get a bit of a homage to Universal Horror, and that's what we go with when it comes to this one. This is a more comedic take on the franchise. It goes into a very different direction. It has a lot of allusions to Universal Horror, especially the Frankenstein series of films from Universal. We even get Karloff's General Store. I think we lost Dad there for a second. Hopefully, there we go. So that is going to be that's pretty much the setup for this one, because we're going to get a very different Tommy Jarvis, actually, an almost unrecognizable Tommy Jarvis. Not an uninteresting Tommy Jarvis, though. Not an unfun Tommy Jarvis. But probably one of the truly the bigger and better actors, kind of in the horror genre, to do this franchise. And although I will say this right now, spoiler alert, I prefer John Shepard's take on the character, because I just like that the darkness that he brings to it and the hauntingness behind his eyes. Yeah, well, I'll leave it at that, because watching this one this time around, I had some different thoughts than I thought I was going to have. So, and I did watch this one, and I stopped it a couple times to kind of take a note and say, okay, I really didn't notice this, or this is hitting me different. More, not so much to notice, but okay, this is hitting me different than it did before. And there's ones there that hit me really different than they did before. And we'll start with Malcolm for part 6.
I'm not going to say much about it, really. I like the beginning, where basically they go make sure he's dead and he gets revitalized. I like that. It's a very cool Frankenstein moment. I like Tommy Jarvis. I like this is like the hunky Tommy Jarvis, and you can see why the girl would fancy him and want to work with him. I really enjoy the RV crash, and I really enjoy the ending. I think the ending's a lot of fun, especially when he gets his throat slit, and he's trapped he's kind of trapped there a little bit. And I thought the comedy was all right in the movie. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I think I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
All right. Definitely the best cast, I think, since part 4. When we get to this one right here. So, Dad, what's your thoughts on part 6?
Okay, well, first of all, I have to tell you, I didn't get to watch this last night, so this is going back from remember where I watched it before. I liked it a little better than the last one. I call this one Jason Stein, because if you watch Ghost of Frankenstein with Lon Chaney Jr. and Bela Lugosi, the line where Bela Lugosi says, "Your mother is the lightning," and that's what happened to Jason. He's revived by lightning. And the first part of it, the graveyard scene, I wasn't fussy. I don't like the worms crawling out. I don't get off on that. I like the RV scene. Yes, I agree. No, not on that. That was fun. It was funny all the way through. I thought this guy was a better Tommy Jarvis. I didn't see what you saw, and I'm sure when you saw that when you were a young guy, before you seen it again and reviewed it and took notes on it, you never saw the haunting in his eyes when you saw that in the theater. That was a later thought from you. I bet you pucks on that one. But I liked the cast. I found them okay. It's a typical what we're going to see of Marion, except for maybe one I liked a little better than the others. We'll get to that one. It's a basic Friday the 13th movie. He goes, he kills people. He heads back to campgrounds. He's waiting. Everybody in his way he kills. I like the ending, though. I do agree with Malcolm. I did like the ending of this one. I thought it was cool where he's under the water. I really like that. Not much to say about it, really. I'll give it a 3.5. But I did like it a little better than the last one. But it's more entertaining, I
that
thought,
sounds fair.
for me. So I'll give it a 3.5 for that one.
I'm actually kind of shocked here because this is the one I thought we'd have the most to talk about, because it deconstructs the whole like Friday the 13th, like what we've seen before, and kind of plays with it. It's got the best cast since part 4, since we've seen C.J. Graham takes over as Jason, so another one and done. But I thought he did a good job. However, he's not Jason at the beginning. He hired somebody else, but I guess the guy wasn't in shape or something like that. So he's only one scene. But then he hired C.J. Graham, and he does a great job. I thought Tom Matthews went, and here's the thing. Here's the part where I stopped the movie. We're getting to Tom Matthews, and he's in prison. He's in the jail cell, and I stopped it there. And I stopped it again when when he's in with Megan in the car, and they're kind of going, they're trying to run away. There's this roadblock. And for those that know me well enough to know my thoughts on the Friday 13th franchise, and especially Tommy Jarvis, most people know I hated him in the role of Tommy Jarvis. Hated him. Like, I just thought, like, this, to me, this isn't what, like, because John Shepard was so different. Like, even when I was a kid, I hated him. I hated Tom Matthews. I was Team Shepard, because it was just a darker character. I'm like, he just seems too happy-go-lucky, too well-adjusted for me. Now, that being said, I was wrong. As I watched it this time around, I saw a bit more the nuance that Tom Matthews put into the role. Stuff that I may not have picked up on when I was younger. I picked up on the jokey stuff because that's what you pick up on. But I didn't pick up on some kind of the little bit more of the hauntingness that he has. It's different. I mean, we get some great Jennifer Cook, really good as Megan in this. And such a different final girl. I loved her character and her interplay with her dad and the deputy. Where the red dot goes, you bang. Probably some of the most quotable lines of Friday the 13th are in this one here. This is by far, and I'm really surprised Malcolm didn't mention this actually, the best soundtrack we're going to get.
Sure, it is actually. It's a really good soundtrack.
Because it's literally you can buy Alice Cooper's Constrictor. That's like Man Beyond the Mask, Teenage Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Just such good stuff. I remember as a kid getting ready for school in the morning, and it was before the movie came out, because this is when in the 80s, movies and soundtracks, the soundtrack pretty much sold a movie. If it didn't have a good soundtrack, fuck it, wasn't gonna do well. But I remember getting up, getting ready for breakfast, turning on MTV. No, I'm sorry, Much Music, and Man Behind the Mask was playing. The video was the premiere for the video that day, and it's just before school. I'm in high school, and it's playing like the song. We see the scene where the RV tips over,
Yeah.
and you get like that kind of iconic pose. And I remember going to school. I was so pumped going to school. I hadn't seen the movie at that point, but I was just like, "Oh, this is so awesome! This looks so great!" Like Alice Cooper's playing. I'm like, "This is fantastic." It was only it was a few years later before I realized that the guy that played Cord was related to Rob Lowe. I didn't pick up on that. Didn't notice the resemblance. So that's something I found out later on. But one thing, and I'm kind of surprised you didn't mention this one, Dad. Renee Jones is in this. So from Days of Our Lives, it was on Days of Our Lives for years. I know you and Dina would watch it. It's like she played like Stefano's daughter, and she was married to Abe. Like she's younger in this, and she's gorgeous. Oh my God. Did anybody else not want to play, or even think about playing the Friday the 13th card game that they show in the movie? Because I did make that up. I did as a kid. I watched that scene over and over again to see if I could find out any rules for that card game as best as I could. So, and at the end, I kind of made up my own rules, and I did a little Friday the 13th card game. We get there's a really cool sequence here where people are on a business retreat, and they're playing paintball, and we get a couple really cool scenes. We get the triple beheading, right? Triple beheading,
Yeah.
I think, and we get the smash into the tree.
Because this is the paintball one.
Yeah, with the happy face. And we also get like we get the sequence in the RV. I love the scene where he smashes her head into the RV and it kind of just like takes on the shape of it. The back break of the sheriff is just a simple, like easily done sequence, but it's so well done. And this, by the way, guys, this is I think, correct me if I'm wrong in this. This is the only time kids are at the camp.
Isn't. They were in the first one as well.
Are there any? There's no kids in the first one, is there?
There is.
Like we see, I know that they're supposed to be. Like we see, like
they're sleeping in the bed in the first one. It's just a glance of them. The reason I know that is because I watched the dead meat kill count when it came up. They talk about it. They say,
"Oh, nice. Okay, I did not pick up on that, Malcolm." No, so yeah, I guess the first time kids are like really prominently shown.
Yeah, prominently shown. Yeah,
with Sartara and like the no exit, like the kids reading like Sartara, and those two kids. And it comes up. Doesn't it come up when Dead Meat's like opening? What were you going to be when you grow up? Type of thing. This is probably objectively as a film, probably the best made one we've seen so far. Like
definitely got good budget.
It does. Like you can see like they're putting some stuff behind it, and it's going beyond like just being okay. We're going to kill some counselors.
The crash alone shows how much the budget was because of how it's filmed.
It is. It's an incredible crash of the way that was done. I love that there's certain scenes, and it's so much like there can be times when you can see humor in a horror movie, and it can be so heavy-handed that it kind of takes away from it. But this one works even with the humor. The American Express card scene, the old man, like, do they think I'm a fart head? And like they go to the kids, yes. And he gets killed. He wasn't initially killed. So there's two murders in this that didn't happen in the original film. The couple, and they do seem kind of out of place. So especially this one. So it kind of makes sense. The couple that are just had me out camping, like not camping, but like doing a picnic type thing. And they just randomly get killed. Those are put in because there wasn't enough like deaths in there. And initially, the gravekeeper, wasn't supposed to die. See, here's the thing. Before I watched this movie in the theater, young Aaron went to Cole's bookstore at the Valley Mall and picked up the novelization because it was there in the store. And I read it. And it was different. So when I went in to watch like the film in the theater, I was like, oh, we're about to see Mr. Voorhees. Because at the end of the book ends with Elias Voorhees was supposed to be like long hair and like really blue eyes, and like what this comes to the grave, the guy takes care of the graves, and the guy's like, it's not my fault, I didn't do it, like, and he doesn't really stand. He's just got this kind of like just chilling stare type thing. Like we find out, okay, he's been taken care of. Like that's why Betsy Palmer's, no, that's why she has a gravestone. That's why she's got a tombstone. This stuff costs money. That's why Jason's buried. That's also why, there's the rumor of the cremation from the first film, because it's been taken care of. But because that scene's taken out, and they took it out on we didn't film it. They took it on Frank Mancuso's insistence, that they thought that would be a bit too much, and they didn't want to get into that aspect of the character, and they didn't want to go into any more of the mythology. I go back and forth on whether that's a good idea, because I kind of would like to have seen it. And here's the thing. Like, what do you? I mean, like, did you read the comics, like the one when they talked about Pamela Voorhees?
A long time ago. I barely remember.
Ages. Now they play Elias not the way that I think Elias should be played, like he is in the novelization. He's this like, he has money. He's very much he's powerful, but there's something off about him. But in the comic book, he's played as like just this regular kind of, remember, like this drunk, abusive character.
Yeah.
And I never thought, like, I didn't buy that in much the same way that I didn't buy it in Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's an out. I think it's like it's a cheap out.
Yeah, it's an easy stereotype.
It is, and that's the thing too. And I think it's a bad stereotype, because a lot of us grew up like not everybody grew up like with like I don't want to say Cosby like family, but you know what I mean. But like with perfect families and stuff, that we grew up with different types of families. Either we grew up with like different like dynamics or stuff, and there's issues, and it always bothered me that like they would go like, oh look, this person here like had a bad family life and they grew up to be a serial killer. What a shitty thing to do. What a shitty way to take something like that. That's always bothered me when it comes to some of those films. One of the beautiful things about the original Halloween 1978 is he's got this like typical normal life, as far as we can tell from the little bit we see of Michael Myers at the beginning of the film. And for absolutely no reason, we don't know. He just is. He's just evil. He just kills. Yeah. Not because his family's bad. Yeah.
And that's what makes it scary.
It does. And that's why, like, although I enjoyed Rob Zombie's Halloween more for what it was this time around when I watched it, it's still, that's always bothered me. And that's been something that's always bothered me. You really, when you watch those two films, you have to diverse yourself completely from the 78 one, or you can't enjoy at all the Rob Zombie one. That's that's the way I take it. Any other thoughts on this one here, guys?
The soundtrack was great. I can't believe I didn't mention that. The paintball scenes are hilarious as they get killed. There's a high body count in this one. If I remember correctly, there's a high body count. Like, so many people get killed, like in the paintball, like the triple beheading you said. And isn't this the one where the person gets tied around a tree as well?
No, that's the one before. Because that's the day before he's.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell them apart a little bit just because of the kills.
Yeah.
And I like this one. I like this one, but I don't know. I felt like it was. I felt like the chemistry more between Tommy and the girl in this than most of the other ones, because it felt more natural. Because he was like a cute guy, do you know what I mean? And she was a cute girl, so it kind of made sense that they'd kind of be around each other, But yeah, it was a decent film.
It's one that like I said, I truly enjoyed. Before we go any further, though, I got to apologize to you for interrupting you earlier in the video, and I'll tell you. And why I did it was because when it comes to these films, sometimes there's so much in my head that I'm worried I'm going to forget, and that's why. So I apologize. I wasn't trying to be rude. It's just I knew that if I didn't say it right then, it was going to be gone.
Yeah,
I'm getting older. It happens to me. So I'm sorry.
And I apologize for I got got moody about
It's
because
the thing is,
perfectly reasonable.
the thing is, Aaron, that what I've been watching and listening to all these days, you really, I mean, when you say that you're a fan of Friday the 13th, that's an understatement. I mean,
Yeah, no, 100%.
you're really serious about this. Like we're watching it, watching the film, enjoy it. But you really love the series. It's more
That is
serious.
true.
Yeah, I got it too. You're more serious than we are with it. You look at it, you stop at a scene, you watch it. You know the characters who act as the characters. I have no idea of any of the names of anybody, but you study. You're a studier, right? That's what you like to
I
do.
have a massive bias.
I know
Like
that
you're
because
100%
I
right
know
there.
you well enough.
Yeah, it's true. I've had massive
And
bias
you up
just
here,
when we start.
you got so much stored up here, right? You know,
Too much.
and you really love it. And we're watching it as just watching it as guys watching a movie. You're watching it in a different way. You're watching it with a lot of depth to it. You're looking at each character individually. You've studied and you've read now what the directors and producers have done on the movie or what they should have done. You're watching every individual scene because you're a what's the word?
Fanatic.
Friday the 13th aficionado. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
There's a word there, but beyond what Malcolm and I are, like you say, you hit at this, you go to nighttime and you read. For you to go and watch the movie, then run out and get the novel and read that. I mean, that's something, that's somebody who really is into the franchise. But I didn't watch this again last night, so I got it. I remember some of it now for you guys talking about the different kills, but I did enjoy this one. I still give it a 3.5, but I did enjoy this one a lot. But
It's
because I
definitely
had forgotten about the scene with the kids at the camp and when you mentioned A Days of Our Lives, Dina watches it all the time. I knew the girl you're talking about right away. I had forgotten she was in that one. I thought she was in the next one. There's somebody in the next one from some other place too, I think.
Yeah, there is actually another girl from Days.
And the end of this one, I really like. So yes.
See,
yeah,
I wouldn't know that.
confused.
I wouldn't know that from
Because
Bad
a lot of
Days
them
of Our
are alike.
Lives.
Once you first film them, I get confused.
Yeah.
But if it was EastEnders, Malcolm,
My wife watches it
Oh, I
faithfully.
know, yeah.
I'm not a soap watcher like Aaron, but my wife watches two soaps. Two soaps. I got to be in the room. No, three soaps she watches, really. And I see some of it because I'm just there on the Chesterfield. And Days of Our Lives in General Hospital are two she watches and free tapes. So she's watching these all the time. She's talking about these characters coming in and out. And that, but I don't watch it much, but I know a bit about it because I'm there when she watches it, and she's been doing that Aaron knows for years. And I think Bold and Beautiful now she watches.
That's how I
so
got
now
into
there's
Days of Our Lives.
but there's some cute. Probably.
So you can blame Dina.
But there's cute girls on it, so I watch it sometimes for the.
Well, over here we don't get Days of Your Lives or
But
those
anyway,
shows.
we'll forget about all that. But I haven't watched the other two, so I don't know if I'm good to go on with them. I got to go in probably half hour's time, but I haven't watched 7 and 8. I know what my feelings are going to be about them. I'll watch them again. 7
is the most fun one. I think
that one of my favorites. I really like. I really like 7. There's a guy in it. You guys don't know him. I'm going to be like Aaron now. I think his name is Terry Kaiser. I'm not sure. He was in Weekend at Bernie's anyway. He was Bernie.
Yeah.
Weekend at Bernie's. Anything he's in, I like. He's the bad guy in this one, but I like him anyway.
Do you remember him, by the way, from
another guy from Days you're going to see in this one too? I saw him I forget. I saw him in a couple of movies. Darker guy. I know when you see him, Kevin or something. I think his name is. I can't remember his name.
Kevin Spirus.
The one after that, that's when I think we're going to all come to blows. There's going to be no, not that one. Sorry, no. Jason Goes to Manhattan, just fun. There's one coming up though that
Jason
I
Lives.
couldn't take it all. And I'm going to tell you, Ed, Aaron, I'm not going to take any excuses.
Jason Goes to Hell.
There's no excuses. I'm not letting the producer or director get off with it. There's no excuses why it's that bad. But I
Well,
won't say
there's a
which
couple
one.
here I
Maybe
got a
that one
feeling
you're thinking
Malcolm
of
likes
either.
better than me, actually.
But that's down the road.
Well, that's-
There are a couple I love, so coming
But this
up.
one
So.
here was okay. I like this one all right. Oh yeah.
Well, you're lucky. You both have.
Oh, yeah,
You
there's
both
still
have.
more that I liked. I did like to some degree.
Well, you two are both luckier than me because I have to download them to watch them. Because I didn't get time to pick them up to watch them on the disc, so I'm
It's hard
watching
to-
them on.
Oh,
So every time I'm downloading, because half of them are still on download.
I got the
So I
same
have to-
set Aaron got there.
Yeah, which is a really nice set. You know, it's a beautiful set.
but so
I was going to buy it. I was going to buy it for this thing, but it was way too much money over, because the
Oh, yeah.
import. But so, for instance, 7 and 8, I'm still waiting to finish downloading. They'll probably finish downloading about 12 o'clock tonight. Then I'll probably end up watching them till like 3 a.m. in the morning, and then I'll probably then get in bed, and then I'll get up completely knackered, have to deal with the wife, and all this other stuff, and then come on. And sometimes by that time, I've forgotten some of it.
I feel like I've forgotten some of it as we're filming.
Oh,
By the way,
that-
am I getting old?
You're a lot like me, Malcolm. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. The worst part about this whole thing, I'm missing out on my Emmanuel. I can't get to watch any Emmanuel.
Oh,
I have to wait until my daughter is asleep. I don't like watching stuff when she's there,
No.
I bet you don't.
even though she's
Here's
an
the thing.
adult.
When I eventually get this set, guys, that's not a bad idea for a
What time I
series.
watch Emmanuel movies.
Mhm.
I think we should do
Well, they'll
Emmanuel.
still be there.
I
Don't worry,
think-
we're
I'm
against
missing
Emmanuel.
I
Emmanuel.
think I've
So if you
I
got an
think
idea
next-
on
I think
what you're
next
coming
year
up with
we-
after this.
I think in next year, if we do this,
Yeah.
to mix it up a bit, what we should do, because I think this would be really fair actually, is the three of us all pick a franchise each that we want us all to review and
That'd be
talk
cool.
about.
Yeah, actually, I like that.
Because then what would happen would be you might get out of your comfort zone, I'll get out of mine, Glenn might have ones, you know what I mean? And it give us more of a look at on a more even basis, I think, as well.
That'd be fun. Actually, be really fun. Like this one, came the way that it did, basically because I had to end up doing this a little bit quicker
course, yeah.
because I'm traveling. If it wasn't, we probably would have been able to do that this time around. But in less than 2 weeks, guys, I'm in a plane.
But that's what I said next year.
Yeah, no. But with that being said, I want to say this right now before we go any further. Thank you guys so much because neither one of you had to do this. You took time out of your day to do this with me, and know that you have no idea how much I appreciate that. I truly do. You guys are rock stars. And here's the thing: we have different views and different ways that we look at the films. But for me, that's the best part of this freaking video. I'm a geek, with these films. With this film series particularly, as Dad said it well, I've got a bias, a serious bias with these ones here. I looked at these films. I did a frigging paper, for my newspaper in high school about this series. I was buying all the Friday 13th stuff when it came out when I was a kid, and watching them and starting renting. I used to rent them all the time. I remember the old releases, and as Dad knows, I bought them several times, from VHS to the DVDs to the Blu-rays to I guess one of these days I'll probably get the 4Ks if anything new comes out.
They will. Shepard, you'll release them eventually.
And I know it's going to happen. I'm gonna say I'm not going to buy them. Then I'm going to buy them.
I'm hoping they're in hard box as well, like the Halloween ones.
They better be, because I love those hard boxes. I'm so disappointed. That's the only reason, Malcolm, I haven't picked up the Child's Play ones yet. That's the only reason.
Because they're very cheap looking, aren't they?
They are, because I picked up Alligator, and because I love Alligator, John Sayles, fantastic film, by the way, guys. If you don't have that 4K, Dad, that's actually a good one if it goes on sale. Great film. But I get the 4K and I'm expecting a hard box because I didn't know there was difference. I didn't know they changed it because I'd only gotten the Halloween ones. So you probably got a lot more Scream Factory 4Ks than I do, Malcolm. So when I went to the store and I went to pick up, I'll get Alligator. So I was looking for a hard box. And it wasn't there. It was just a regular, actually very flimsy slipcover. But I said, I wanted the movie, so I picked it up anyway. But I felt like it should have been cheaper. But here's the thing: I can buy the Halloween ones, and initially, if they still have the hard box, I'm not sure. You said they
don't now. They don't now. They've got the cheap one.
Oh, that sucks. Because
That's why I jumped on them when I did.
Yeah, and they were cheaper back then too than the soft case ones are, which just blows my mind.
Stupid, absolutely stupid.
Yeah, if
talk
you're
about
gonna,
hard
like,
box. Talk about the hard boxes quickly. I got a spellcaster today.
You know, I've seen that
VSA.
movie. I've not seen the movie in like. Wait a minute, yes, I have. Where's that at? Do you have it there?
I got it on me. It's in the other room.
Oh.
It's the VSA.
That's one of the early ones, right?
Yeah, I'll get a picture of it up if you want quickly.
Because I'm pretty sure it's the one I got. I'm just trying to remember. Is it the girl from Friday 13th? When Friday 13th films?
I've not got a clue because I've not seen it. This one.
Adam Ant. That's Adam Ant and the girl from Dolls is in that, by the way.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it, so I won't be able to tell you because thingy. But yeah, I got it for $30.
It's a really good. That's one of my favorites. Like Malcolm and that of the VSA line, the Spellcaster. It's kind of like early, kind of Empire Pictures, like right before Full Moon.
Yeah.
So those are when they were good before like Charles Band said, let's.
Yeah, before they got really bad.
Yeah.
I think the only one I'm missing now is I'm missing a couple, but one of the main ones is Necromancer.
Right. That's Elizabeth Caton. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, there's some good. If you can get that one for a good price, I got a feeling you're gonna like that one. Actually, there's a video I'm thinking about doing later on, and I think you know what it is, where we're going to talk a bit about what's come out from Vinegar Syndrome and what another company's been putting out.
Yeah, we definitely need to do that. I think that's a brilliant idea, really.
That was your idea, so I'll credit you for that one.
Well, you're the one who put it in my head because you were saying about it, and I was like, this is a perfect video.
There you go. So, guys, keep an eye out for that. And by the way, more than likely, you've already seen that by the time this video comes up.
Sure.
I want to thank you guys so much for coming in here today. It got a bit hot and spicy for a minute. Apologies because of me, unfortunately. I let my passion get the best of me. But with that being said, I think we had another great one, guys. And tomorrow, 7 and 8, which is going to be one of the more, maybe 8, it'll be a little more contested. There's a little bit of difference there. We're going to get Peter Mark Richmond. That's going to be kind of cool. And we'll see you next time right here in the Cult Cinema. Say bye, guys.
See you later, guys.